All right. We are currently live right now, and I'm glad I can finally do this, man. Like, the past week sucked. So, many of you probably know I was sick, but it was kind of a weird sickness. I was like kind of like semi sick. So, I mainly just had a headache and an on and off fever, and a low grade fever. So, it wasn't anything just like crazy, but enough to middle of the day. I'm just working. So, I worked from home every single day this week, which kind of sucked. But when you're just in the middle of your workday, it's like 2 p.m. You're working on something, and all of a sudden you get these chills, and you're shivering, and you need to put on a hoodie and a beanie and some sweatpants on. It's not fun. So switching back and forth between that and like literally taking off all my clothes because I was just so dang hot. That's my life the past week, but it's fine. I still was able to hit the gym, whether or not I was probably should have. It's debatable. I still felt horrible. Well, I wouldn't say horrible. I was like 60%. But yeah, hopefully I'm on the tail end of this thing. So tonight's live just because I wanted to get this out, make content. Obviously, it's probably not going to be the highest quality video I've ever made just because I haven't prepared as much as I wanted to for this topic. So I may touch on it again, but it's one I definitely have a decent amount of experience in. So enough about my life. We'll just kind of hop into it. I'm not going to do a Q&A after the show. This is kind of be a low key show, hopefully like 15, 20 minutes. And I'll be back on, I'm actually leaving this weekend, or at least that's the plan. If I can check out, I'm not just like, not this weekend, sorry, next weekend. So still scheduled to do my lives Tuesday, Thursday, and hopefully nothing gets ruined by that. But then the week after, so when I'm finally in Texas, it's sad I'm leaving Utah and all the people I know in Utah, at least for now, temporarily, for a job down in Austin. But that week I get into Texas, I won't be working because I'll have a week until I start my actual job on August 7th. So look out for that. I might do some fun stuff there for y'all content wise. Make up for the past week since I've been sick. All right, let's get into the topic tonight. Never use the excuse "I'm busy" ever again. Now, how many times have you had that friend? It could have been yourself. I mean, actually didn't do this a lot, but how many of you have friends or coworkers, or especially the ladies out there? You know who you are. They'll give the excuse I'm busy, or sorry, I got plans, or and some people legitimately have plans. For example, there's one of my friends. He actually does make a lot of different plans, but then I ask him, hey, let's do something like this day or whatever. And he's like, oh, sorry, I can't. I'm doing at this XYZ at this place, like this time type of a thing. And that's a legitimate thing. Like he planned in advance. Like I know people are busy, and this is coming from a pretty busy guy myself. Like I'm not here to toot my horn or anything like that, but I'd say the past year has been the busiest I've ever been in my life, and I know life's just going to get busier from there. So if you want to get something done, you can't use the excuse that I'm too busy to do something, because it's all about priorities, and that's kind of the topic of today. Make sure you can never use "I'm busy" ever again. If it's something that you genuinely want to do, and you're just like, I'm just too busy. And I mean, at the end of the day, you might actually be busy, but I'm sure there's people way busier than other people. Like you might newly married, you might be just had a kid, multiple kids, you might be super busy with work and trying to help your spouse or whatever. Like everyone's busy. And newsflash to anyone who has lived life, the more you live, the older you get, the busier you get. So that's just life for you. So expect it. That's what a lot of older people told me when I was a teenager. Enjoy it while you can, just because you're just going to get busier and busier as life goes on. And it's true, especially if you want to do something with your life. If you don't really want to do anything with your life, you're not busy, you're just hanging around, going with the flow, that's fine. You're not busy. But there's a difference between productive and busy, and we'll kind of get into that. So I guess I'll preface kind of this past year for me. I don't want to go on a whole spiel about myself personally, but this kind of puts everything in context. So this past year, finishing my last year at BYU, and I didn't have super crazy workload, but I was still taking like 12, 13 credits a semester, which is full-time student. So I was doing that, and I was working 20 to 30 hours a week, usually on the higher end, 30 hours a week. There's some weeks I worked 40 hours a week, sometimes more, just because there was a lot of work to do, and I want to help out, and I mean, I like getting paid too. So I was going to full time school, doing borderline full time work. I won't claim I did full time work. I know people that do full time work, full time school. It's crazy. My dad did it, and it's insane. But I was able to do that, have somewhat of a social life, go on dates and stuff. I was dating several girls at the time, and having a good time. And at the time, I also had a pretty, I wouldn't say super intense calling for church. I was in a state calling, but long hours on Sunday. So most of my days off were Saturday and Sunday. And typically, I take those days literally as like days of rest. So, like, I don't really do anything. Occasionally on Saturday, if I have something planned with the boys or a date or something with a female, then I'll do that. But Sunday, it's usually my chill day. I'll try to sleep in because usually that's the only day I can sleep in. Other than that, I'm typically waking up at 5:30 in the morning every single morning. So I had that calling, which basically most of the day Sunday, and on top of that, like I said, I had a social life. I was dating. I was hanging out, seeing friends every once in a while, probably like once a week or a couple times a week. And I was able to do this. I was able to do content as well. I was still doing my weekly men's value tips. I was doing that, I believe, once a week. And I would try to do a stream once a week starting at the beginning of this year, so 6 months. And obviously, I bumped that up since I'm not doing school anymore, so I have a little more time on my hands. But easily, like I said, I was doing school, and that itself is close to a full time job, going to classes, studying, and stuff like that. And I was working, so think of, let's just put this in a math perspective. So I was doing like 30, let's just say 30 ish hours a week for school, maybe a little bit less, just because it was my last couple semesters. I was focusing more on work, honestly. So 30 hours doing that, around 25 to 30 hours doing work. So right there is 60 hours. And then plus my, let's see, let's do the math right here. Calculator. So you guys can see. Let's see. All right, let's do this. So how many hours are in a week? So there's seven days a week multiplied by 24 hours. So I have 168 hours in a week. All right, subtract, like I said, 30 for school. Let's just say 25 for work. And let's just school work. So I have 113 hours. Let's just say on average, I tried to get, um, let's just say I'm getting like 6 hours of sleep. I think that's pretty reasonable. Obviously, I would try to shoot for 8 hours of sleep, but I know I got stuff to do and schoolwork to get done. So let's say seven. I think that's fair. 7 hours of sleep times seven. That's 49. So minus 49 sleep. I had 64 hours during the week. So I was also, let's just say I was hanging out with friends like once a week. So let's just say that was like 6 hours of that. Plus, oh, I forgot my calling. So that's probably like 6 or 7 hours on Sunday too. And then on top of that, I was doing like content and stuff. All right, let's do it. Go dates. I probably went on a couple dates, one or a couple dates a week maybe. So let's just say like 3 hours for that. And I was making content as well. And let's just say I was doing an average of like hour, 2 hours per day on that. Because even right now, it's like when I'm not doing my normal job and I'm not just like chilling. Well, even when I'm chilling, I'm probably doing content and stuff. So say two, that was 14. And even then, with all of that, and let's like put meals into there. So we'll just say take 3 hours a day eating meals. So it's 21 hours. So I still got 14 hours left during my day. That's, I mean, over a span of a week, that's only like a couple hours. But even a couple hours, the key is to be productive. And the thing is, people say they're busy. Oh, I'm doing full time school. I'm doing work on top of that. I have a calling. I have a social life. The thing is, it can be done. The thing is, you just have to one, prioritize. Two, you have to plan, and you have to take time to plan as well. So let's just say like planning as well. I took probably a couple hours a week to plan. So 12 hours. I still have extra time left over. So that kind of frames the example of my own life, and I'll share my schedule as well. But you need to execute, or first you need to make a plan, then execute your plan. So for any of you who are familiar, this is a special book for people in my church, especially people who have served at LDS Mission. So Preach My Gospel, Chapter 8. Yes, I'm going to get a little bit religion-y here, but it's helpful just because this chapter, and any of you who are not a member for Jesus Christ of Latter-day actually want some of this, I can kind of give you a bridge version or send you a link as well. But it's very useful just because this is what we use as missionaries. Think about it. We had to plan our days. We were full-time missionaries, so we had to plan our days effectively for 2 years. We did all this with a companion, so another person, rather than just ourselves. And it can sometimes even be harder when it's with someone else. So essentially, the rundown of this chapter, my branch president in FDC, which basically is like our leader, kind of when we were training and stuff before I got sent to Japan, he said, "You follow this chapter throughout your mission, and then even after your mission, and I can't remember the exact dollar amount. I want to say you can make like $100,000 more each year throughout your career if you apply these principles." And I can definitely see why, just because kind of a brief summary of it. It talks a lot about key indicators, setting goals, and making plans for those goals, measurable goals, and making a weekly plan. So a weekly layout of your plan and what you're going to do every single day. And then you match those up with your goals. So set standards, which I've talked about multiple times in a couple of my mental value tips. So that's really the key is you need to set priorities and have a systems in place. That's how you kind of breed discipline. Like for someone who's just kind of willy nilling it, kind of with the flow, you wake up at like 10 a.m. and stuff, and you're not really sure what you're gonna do. I don't know when I'm gonna work out. I don't know when I'm gonna eat my meals. I don't know when I'm gonna work on my school. I don't know. Like I know when I'm gonna go to work, but I don't know what I'm gonna do afterwards. I don't know what time I'm gonna go to bed. Just all that stuff you need to make a plan for, and you need to take time during your week. I typically do these on like Sundays. Even I will do stuff kind of at night. Obviously, we're all on our phones at night. I'm guilty of this too. But even taking 10 minutes right before you go to bed, just thinking, no phone, no nothing, no TV, and you just think in your head, and you're like, all right, this is the stuff I have to do this week. Maybe what are some roadblocks? What stuff can I add? And then for a lot of you that are my friends and know me, like if there's an opportunity to do something or there's plans, maybe a little bit unexpected, I can still fit a lot of stuff in my schedule just because I have these systems and stuff, and I'm flexible. And because I have these systems, it's like, all right, I can easily plug one thing in and take one thing out and put it somewhere else. And I know what my schedule is going to be like. One of the biggest pet peeves I have is someone who doesn't know their own schedule. Like, I'm gonna call you out. One of my friends, he literally is the worst. I'll if you're hearing this, you know who you are, but he doesn't know anything what he's doing. He'll say one thing, and they're like, okay, sweet, let's do it. Let's do something for that. Then he's like, oh, actually, my wife told me we had to do this type of a thing. You just need to have a schedule, just because if you plan to be successful and have systems in place in your life, even when you have a family, like you won't be able to survive and use time appropriately, be the best version of yourself if you don't plan and allocate and execute your time appropriately. So I'm going to go into my calendar real quick and kind of show everyone what it looks like. So this is my calendar. The purple is my work stuff. All right, and then for Instagram, I'm actually going to cut the live feed. Just going to go straight on to YouTube now. All right. So this is a rough estimate. Obviously, this is what I try to follow ever since I've been sick. It's kind of changed a little bit, obviously, just because I'm sleeping weird different times. I might not actually. I have been kind of waking up at 6 the past couple of days, but haven't been really going to the gym because I don't have the energy. But I went today. It's an important thing. So if you look at this, sorry, I don't mean to add anything here. So like I said, blue is kind of like personal calendar. Purple is work calendar. I would suggest using some sort of app like Google Calendar, or I know a lot of companies use Outlook. Kind of consolidating everything onto one thing is really nice. I know there's APIs where you can use. I know during my internship when I worked for Dell, there's an API you can link your Outlook events with your Google Calendar, so it'll pop up on your Google Calendar because that's the main kind of application that I use. So if someone books a meeting with me, say next Friday, yeah, 9 to 10, 10:30, then it'll appear here, even though it's an Outlook and on Google Calendar. But have a somewhat structured day. And let's actually go into what this kind of looked like during the school year. Let's go into yeah, let's go into February. So just like a random week in February, Valentine's Day. Sweet. So starting off with Sunday, like I said, I had a calling for church and stuff, so I had to wake up relatively early. I had a meeting at 7:45 every other week, so I had to get up early for that. Couldn't stay up extremely late on Saturday nights. And I would have meetings, church and stuff, and then afterwards, like I said, Sundays are typically my days to like review stuff. So I have recurring events, and I actually added like right here, like a kind of a nap, and then that's where I currently now film my weekly men's value tips and any other ward events that happen as well. So weekly men's value tip, reel, review, investment, new investments, my budget, strategize for the week. This is where I kind of do a lot of my planning. And then also I have in bed read. I haven't been the best at reading just because I haven't been getting to bed at 8 p.m. And then I actually, I'm going to delete this because I do scriptures in the morning now. So that's like the goal. And here, obviously, I had a date with Michaela. I don't even know. I can't. Dude, once you go on so many dates with so many girls, like you forget who's who. I'm sorry, Michaela, if you ever watch this, but I'm sure we had a great time. But this is my typical day: gym, 6 to 7 a.m. Get ready, and then head to the office usually. Or sorry, this is when I was going to school, so I had classes and stuff. So I put that in kind of my work calendar, and then I would be in office from 12:30 to 5. So whenever I'm not doing school, I'd be doing work until 5 p.m. And then I switched Mondays actually to my money Mondays. If you'll look at my calendar now, which I'll share it, what it looks like now, it's a little bit more organized. I think I need a little bit more organization with it, but this is a rough of what it looked like. I had basketball intramurals. I was doing stuff like went to the Rising Stars Challenge because the All Star game for the NBA was here in Salt Lake City, and then Saturday I typically don't have too much, but occasionally I'll have stuff there. But all right, let's look at what it looks like today. So nowadays it's actually a little bit more structured. It's gonna probably look somewhat like this. If you're a content creator or looking to create content, I very much recommend. I might even color code this for like what's content related stuff, but I kind of already know. Like I have planned out when I'm gonna post stuff. Obviously, this past week I've been terrible at it just because I've been sick. My entire schedule's been thrown off. So this is my before work stuff, scriptures, gym, get ready, work stuff, then after work stuff. And then anytime, so for example, for friends like, or when Wednesday night or something, I need to do something, I'll typically move some of the stuff like on 8 p.m. I have my post my YouTube short and post these reels or something. They want to hang out at 6:30 or 7. I'm just gonna move all this stuff up just to make sure it gets done. And that's the key. If you move your schedule around, Obviously, I want people to have a social life and get out there and meet people and network and stuff. So you need to be flexible, but you also need to make sure you're getting the stuff that you need to done. So even for like YouTube live streams, if someone wants to do that, I'll typically probably push it off to a different day. If not, I might finagle it where I'll either do my live stream a little bit earlier, or I'll meet with the person a little bit later, or something like that. So that is my Google Calendar in a nutshell. I know it's not the most exciting stuff, but that's the key. Priorities, have a plan, execute. And the thing is, like I said, you need to take time to do it. So as a recap, like I said, this one's gonna be relatively short. I actually feel kind of a little bit more alive despite talking and stuff like that. But I need some of my rest. I need to take a shower. I just came back from the gym. But if you implement a lot of this planning stuff, just because, like I said, the older you get, the more successful you get, the more problems you get, the more busy you're going to get. So you need to have plans and systems in place. That way you can achieve what everything that you need to achieve. Yeah. So if you have a family, if you're running a business, you need to make sure all of that stuff, all of their needs get met. So if anyone has any questions, leave in the description. I will probably edit this a little bit later, maybe tomorrow or over the weekend, long weekend, Pioneer Day. I'm actually excited for that. Hopefully, I'm a little bit better. So sorry, let me do a recap before I do the outro. So recap, set priorities, never use the excuse that you're busy again, just because you probably don't have any systems. You're probably actually not that busy. Do the math. There are very few people that I meet. There actually are a few people that I meet that are even busier than I am, and they do so much more than I can do. So it's very impressive. It's an art. It's a skill that you definitely learn. So I talked about PMG, talked about priorities, talked about creating a schedule, having a set of systems that you execute on, and using some sort of Google Calendar or a calendar app. That way you can arrange everything and do something that's a little bit repetitive. Have some sort of routine. Obviously, that will change from time to time, and that's the key. That the more you know your routine, your schedule in and out, the more you're able to add a little bit of flexibility to it. You can rearrange stuff here and there just because you know exactly what's going on for that week. So don't be that guy who doesn't know what's going on that week for yourself just because you're probably wasting a lot of time. So be productive, go and achieve what you want to achieve. But I was talking about Pioneer Day on Monday. This is the first time I'm in Utah for Pioneer Day, so hopefully I'm a little bit more healthy, feeling a little bit better. But yeah, it'll be fun. So for those of you who don't know what Pioneer Day, it's basically the day that all the pioneers that traveled across the plains from like East Coast to Utah, I believe it's when they arrived in the Utah Valley. So it's a big celebration for them. I might be wrong on that actually. So don't. If I'm wrong, just let me know in the comments. But if you have a question, put it in the comments. A couple big topics coming up, hopefully for next week. I may even have a guest or two for the following topics. I want to talk about for one of my next lives the whole like testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, testosterone. Like I think there's a huge trend going on that's not good, that's having like all these high school kids and all these kids in their 20s, even early 30s. They're like, oh, just get on test, bro. Like, just experiment with stuff. And like, technically, testosterone is not really a steroid, but there's definitely side effects, and I do not recommend. So here's my stance on it. The TLDR version of the upcoming podcast will be, I do not recommend taking testosterone. Only consider it if you're in your late 30s to your 40s, just because literally when you start taking it, your body will naturally not take it. And I haven't done extreme amounts of research, so I'll dive deeper into it before I make any extra claims. But from what I understand, once you start supplementing with it, your body will naturally stop making it itself, and you're going to constantly have to be taking injections. So don't do it. All right, I'll leave it at that. Have any comments or any recommendations, just let me know in the comments section. So peace out. Bless y'all with good health. I definitely need it. But